Callie does not need you to follow her. I do not need you to follow me. Ashley does not need you to follow her. That is not what any of this is about.
Not
Callie's
at all.
not
Not
at
even
all.
close.
Callie's post and her future videos and all of our now content are quite literally a call to stop following people and go follow Jesus. Alrighty, people, welcome to episode 6 of Jesus Coffee and Yarn. I'm Melanie.
And I'm Ashley.
So, real quick, Happy New Year, guys. Happy 2026. And along with that, happy last episode of this series that we've been making, covering Callie's original post and the comments under that post. This will be the last episode talking about what started it all for us, really, and to kind of accidentally go with new year, new us, new series incoming. We are bringing to y'all a new name to our channel and to our content. I mean, seriously, listen, 3, 4 months ago, we had no idea that we were going to be doing any of this. This was not on our bingo card for this year, last year, the following year,
Any
like
year.
any year. We had no idea that we were going to be doing this. So we really appreciate anyone that is willing to bear with us as we struggle trying to figure this all out. But we are going to be renaming all of our content Those Christian Besties. So, for the first time ever, we are Those Christian Besties, and this is our episode on followers. So, in this last comment that we'll be discussing, basically, this person was trying to lecture Callie in her comment that what she was doing, what Callie was doing here, making a post like this where she was taking a stand in her faith against Christians leading the LGBT community astray, that making content like that is not how you get followers. And I've been kind of like keeping this discussion from Ashley for like 3, 4 months now. But I wish you had seen the initial response because basically, when I first read this comment, I swear I had this immediate, just out of body like experience where I wanted to basically go get a megaphone and climb up on top of my roof and just start blaring at this person like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, am I on the right post here? Am I on the right planet here? Okay. Because, I mean, are you really trying to say that anything about what Callie is doing here is about popularity? I mean, if you really think for a second that this has anything to do with Callie wanting anyone to follow her, then the entire point here simply flew straight over your head. So, I mean, my initial response was just like, I do not, this does not compute. Okay, Callie does not need you to follow her. I do not need you to follow me. Ashley does not need you to follow her. That is not what any of this is about.
Not
Callie's
at all.
not
Not
at
even
all.
close.
Callie's post and her future videos and all of our now content are quite literally a call to stop following people and go follow Jesus. And last time I checked, none of us are Jesus. So,
No.
what are you even saying? Okay, that this isn't how you get followers. This isn't a popularity contest. This is obedience. This is a message. This is spreading the truth and the word of God, even if it means that we lose popularity. Because that's a lot more likely to happen in the world that we're living today. And because I couldn't tell Ashley this, okay, I wanted her, reaction to be kind of authentic to me kind of, sharing this with her. But I did actually explain this, entire thought process that I was having to someone that I go to pretty frequently about stuff like this. And they actually ended up kind of turning it all around on me a little bit. So they initially directed me to 1 Corinthians 11:1, but I did look further into this myself. And the verses that really tipped me over on this were 1 Thessalonians 1:6 and Hebrews 13:7. And as always, these verses will be in the description. Okay, do not take our word for this. Go see what God says for yourself. But what these verses are conveying is that when you find someone that is truly following Jesus, okay? That it is okay and even encouraged to then look at their life and their faith and what they're doing and to then follow that example and imitate all of that yourself. And that in doing this, you will inevitably also end up following Jesus as well, or be following Jesus simply by imitating this person that is also following Jesus. And at this point, they said something basically along the lines of, this isn't meant to go to your head or anything. And that was funny to me because in my head, I was thinking, like, oh no, like, you don't have to worry about that because I mean, the only thing that I just heard out of everything that you just said is that I better make sure that I am following Jesus because someone might really follow us because of that. So really it was more like it just hit me in the face of like, no, the only thing I heard was I better make sure that I have myself right in what we're doing here. Yes, someone might actually follow us to try to follow Jesus. And I wasn't looking at it that way. And then it got even funnier to me because once I really sat with this for a minute, it dawned on me like I'm an idiot. I mean, I did this with you. Okay,
With me?
with you. And I said it in the first episode. Okay, when we broke up and you took off running to God, I didn't immediately follow, but I eventually did. And it wasn't Jesus that I looked, first to, it was you. And I actually said it, again in the first episode, our testimony video, that you eventually became my North Star in my faith.
Yeah.
And that is 100% accurate. I saw you changing and growing in your faith and the things that were happening in your life because of it. And that in turn pulled me into following you because you were following Jesus. And it eventually turned into me also following Jesus again in my life. And all of these events kind of happened naturally in me without me even realizing that that was what really happened there. Um, and truly, I mean, this made sense, and it happens more often than we think. I think what my aversion to this idea is just this other side of this that people will let you down. You know, it's amazing that you were such an example to me in your faith that you, as pretty much a new Christian, did end up leading me, a Christian that had lost my way and had actually, even in that state, initially led you to Jesus, but that you ended up leading me back to Jesus. I mean, really, if you look at it, this whole picture, it was like this tag team of us leading each other until we were both following Jesus. And that is a wonderful thing that happened, okay? But again, I think I'm getting hung up on just the whole, I don't know, just my like worry in this that people will, or just do often let you down. And I do still feel like, we need to see the danger in that, again, Romans 3:4, let God be true and every man a liar. And this doesn't mean that every man is a liar. It just means that a man is only telling the truth when he is biblically accurate, and the fact that I would rather point people to the Bible, to find God instead of, and maybe I'm just like not wanting to take on like the weight of that, of like, knowing that a person might just follow me because they, believe that I'm following Jesus, you know what I mean? I would rather point them
But it's
to.
like even as people though, we're people, we're flawed. I mean, it's funny that you bring up the talking about how like I took off in my faith.
Mhm.
I mean, I just brought up recently that I felt like I was failing, in my faith with,
Yes.
like the things that I was lacking to do. And you're right, people do let you down. It's like myself included, like we're not perfect just because we take off after, Jesus. Yes, that's a good thing, but it's a journey. It's not a destination. You don't just get there and you're like, that's it. No, it's constant. It's conscious. It's that deliberate decision to every day go, all right, I'm doing this. And it's it takes some doing. I don't want to say that it's difficult because it's not that it's difficult. It's that life is difficult, which makes it difficult to take off after it.
This whole thing was just a weird revelation to me that I realized that I did do this with you. Oh, but then at the same time, I'm sitting over here not really wanting other people to do it with me. And it's like, no, I really did follow you and in turn ended up following Jesus. It's this thing that I don't know, I'm getting hung up on it for some reason. But
Well, if I can put it in a metaphorical sense that might make you feel better about it, just bear with me. So it's like you talk about how you followed me and then, in turn started following Jesus. Well, if we're both following Jesus in that direction, whether you're following me or not, aren't we both going after him?
exactly. And I mean, that's the thing that's what happens and that it's even talked about in the Bible that this is okay to do. And I had never really thought of it this way. So really, I mean, when this person that I was talking to like brought these verses up and showed me this, it was like this entire like I don't know, just a new this was a new look at this for me. Because I mean,
Very new
truly
perspective.
yeah, a new perspective for me because I mean, I still want to be that person that points people straight to the Bible. But I mean, just
Oh yeah.
the idea that, you really can, a person, but I mean, it made sense. I mean, again, we say it over and over and over again, don't take our word for it, for these things. Go to the Bible, check us against God's word. And when you end up following a person so that you can better understand how to follow Jesus, but then they let you down because they are not Jesus, like you're saying, they're human. So it's like, when I was thinking about all of this, it's like, please remember that God didn't let you down, a person did. And the fact that they let you
Yeah.
down doesn't erase how they led you closer to Jesus. Don't erase that, in your life. And then again, kind of going along, I think I was coming to kind of the same conclusion as you a second ago. God has been using flawed, imperfect human beings to spread his word and lead others to Christ for thousands of
Since the
years.
beginning.
I mean, the
Oh yeah.
entire idea of, discipling and, a pastor or just spreading the word or trying to live a godlike life, that's an example to your kids, that's an example to your friends. You never know when you might be leading someone to Jesus, but at the same time, we are all completely imperfect. And I don't know why I didn't really have this perspective on this before this person really I think I didn't want it. I really think I just didn't want that pressure on me because that's all I was really hearing was the pressure of like I really need to make sure that I am headed in the right direction because people might follow me or people might follow you and I think I didn't want that pressure, but I mean, it doesn't need to be pressure. This is the whole thing. This is the entire job, if you will, as a Christian, we as imperfect people do lead others to Jesus, and that doesn't need to be a pressure. This is sometimes
I
the
think
way it works.
that should speak more to the fact that we're all humans. It's a journey for everyone. And the fact that people that might look at us as, like devout followers, whatever you want to call it, people that may look at us that way, yeah, at least I think so. Watching us stumble in a sense is like, it speaks to the fact that we're human. And guess what? You're probably gonna stumble too. And
Yeah.
if you don't, then like again, this is just me speaking from like, my own personal experience. It's like if you're not stumbling, if you're not growing, if it's not a little bit uncomfortable at times, then it's like you're probably not moving
Yeah.
in any direction.
Pretty much.
Because it's like we're constantly growing, we're constantly facing different challenges that, especially like, and I always come back to parents especially because we constantly face new challenges because our kids are constantly growing and changing.
Yes.
So it's like
Yeah.
different stages. At one stage in your life, it's patience. At another stage in your life, it's understanding. At another stage, it's, self control. And, all these things start to come into place. And not even just as parents, even just as people in everyday life, it comes to work. Again, patience, self control, like all these different things. But we are people and we do stumble. But the thing is, it's like when we stumble, you're right. It's like make sure that you're holding on to like him and not the person in front of you.
Yes. Because I mean, really, if we're going to be leading each other, I do hope that that is the end result, is that we are actually getting to a point where we are following Jesus and not just following a person. Because again, I feel like that can lead to the danger of, what if this person does a horrible thing and you think, well, how could this person have been leading me to Jesus? They may have still led you to Jesus, okay? But then they went, and they made a human mistake that may be horrible, and that doesn't take away the fact that they did, have an influence on you in Jesus, in God, and brought you to where you are today. I don't want it to take away, you know, if you, happen to have someone that leads you to Jesus that ends up making a horrible mistake. Just I don't want it to erase that for people. Keep your eyes on Jesus.
I have a pretty good example for something like that. And I mean, it's just a thought, with what you're saying. You know, in the Bible, we all know
Yeah.
David and Goliath.
Yeah.
David is called a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
He does stumble when he goes after Bathsheba. We
Mhm.
all know it's like I don't know if everyone knows this, but if you know the story, he sees this woman, he's like, you know,
I want that
lusts
one.
after her, and then he has her husband, like basically killed because he sends him off to, like
He tries to kill him, he puts him
eh,
at the front of the army, because he wants to
yes.
cover it up because he wouldn't go sleep with his wife to make it look like, he might have gotten her pregnant or whatever. He wanted to cover up. David wanted to have this woman and cover it up and then kill the husband when the husband wouldn't go along with his plan for him sleeping with his wife. Okay, and this is yeah. This is David.
Yeah, but it's like again, but all throughout the Bible, even after that, he's called a man after God's own
Yeah.
heart. That meant clearly he stumbled quite a bit.
Yep.
But it's like and you see that all throughout the Bible. It's not
Yeah.
just David. He's just a good example because most people know the story of David and Goliath.
Yes.
Another good one is, like Jonah,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
ran from God.
I don't wanna do
And then
it.
I don't want to do it. And was even a bit salty about the fact that,
Quite.
God wanted to save his people, you know,
Yeah.
and, the people of Nineveh. Is that right? Yeah,
I think so,
Nineveh.
yeah.
And so, he was a little bit, and God even asked him, is it right for you to be upset? kind of,
Yeah.
and we are human, but again, God uses us even when He takes into account our flaws, our shortcomings, our questions. He takes all of those things into account, and all things eventually do work out according to His plan.
And it's just at the end of
It's
the day, it's that we are going to be human beings that, hopefully try to live a better life than, some of the mistakes that we could make. But I mean, just because a person makes a mistake doesn't change what they, showed you in your life. Don't let it take away from that. I mean, I am flawed. Callie is flawed. Ashley is flawed. And even though we are out here trying to lead people to follow Jesus and all of our flaws from being human beings, again, we may let you down. I hope we don't. I really hope we don't. But I
but
mean,
yeah, I hope we don't, but inevitably it is inevitable because at the end of the day, it's like there's gonna be that point where it's like, yeah, we can point you in the right direction, but we do not by any means have the answers to every question.
yeah,
So it's like there's always that thought of like, that day that comes where I don't have an answer for you. But at the same time, the answer is not always for me to give.
yeah.
I can be a tool for that and to get you
That's
to
what
that
we're
answer,
trying to
but
be. Yeah.
that answer doesn't necessarily come from me.
Yes.
That's or you or whoever or your pastor, whatever. It doesn't necessarily come from that person. But like I said, God uses people all from all walks of life, all sorts of things. Even my own daughter is sometimes a tool for me, when it comes to certain things because wow, like by all means, they God uses everyone.
Yeah,
Everyone plays a part
despite us, really, at the end of the day
despite us.
sometimes. But
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about following a person, it's about following Jesus. And when a person does lead you to follow Jesus, but then lets you down again, just this was a different perspective for me. It really was. It was eye opening, talking to this other person about it and the verses and just me being so focused on I want to lead people to the Bible, which is what I'm focused on. I want our entire channel to be very focused on that, to lead you to the Bible, lead you to the Bible, lead you to the Bible. But I mean, it really it was silly of me, I think, at the end of the day, to not realize that someone might follow us, and that's okay. I hope that I lead you to the Bible. I hope that Ashley leads you to the Bible. I hope that we lead you to Jesus. But follow
To
Jesus.
Jesus. Ultimately, to Jesus.
Yeah.
And now it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine earlier in the week because I saw a post on Facebook that talks about what it basically said. I'm gonna butcher the exact wording, but the gist of it was that I hope that in every like interaction I have with people, that ultimately they see God, they see Jesus in me, and God forbid that I push them the other direction,
Yes.
push them away. And it's like, and I was talking to my friend about this, and I looked at her and I said, I hope that I never do that because the thought like that, and I got kind of nervous about this upcoming episode because of it. I was like, I hope that I don't do that because the idea of that scares me,
My
of
goodness.
pushing someone further away.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just something that's always at the back of my mind when we are approaching this. So it's just one of those things where I don't ever want to like push that opposite direction, I guess is what it is. And it's a scary thought.
It is.
Yeah, but right, ultimately we are human. But like you said, despite us,
Despite us.
God always has a plan. For all we know, and this is just me thinking out loud. I'm not saying that this is what actually is going to take place, but it's like for all we know, despite us, if we do end up pushing someone the opposite direction, for all we know, they're going to bump into somebody who's meant to push them forward.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
But I mean, again, at the end of the day, we are going to continue to do our best. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the episodes. I hope that we are pushing people. I know, well, I say I hope. We know that we have, and I mean, I said it at the end of I think it was the second or the third episode. I think it was the second one where it was just if we lead one person, back to the Bible, that is enough. If we lead one person back to Jesus, that is enough. If we change one person's perspective on, something with the Bible and everything, that is enough. And I mean, we've gotten that already. That's already happened. So I mean, that's what this is about. And we're going to continue to try, lead more and more and more people back to Jesus, back to God, back to the Bible, back to their walks, with Jesus and getting Jesus back in their lives. I mean, we're going to continue to do all of that. But this was just again just a different perspective for me. I mean, at first this episode was going to be me sitting there what is this person talking about, until I talked to a friend and they were like, "No, this is okay. That this happens. Get over it."
But that's the important thing about fellowship, though, is
Yes.
because when we join in fellowship, they to surround yourself with others who are on their walks because they do have different perspectives. Just
Yeah.
you and I alone have different perspectives based solely on how we grew up and how we've, like, walked through life up until this point where we kind of, like, basically are like walking together in a
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Our all paths, like, they come together at certain points, and it just goes to show that, like you say, all walks of life can, like, we can all end up on the same path towards Jesus.
Yeah.
It's amazing just like how many different paths end up going that direction. I think is what I'm getting at.
Ended
Like
up
all
making
walks of
it
life.
ended up making it onto the right path. And we help each other. We do lead each other, whether or not we want to, like me, want to acknowledge it or admit it or whatever. We do have a role in this of leading each other to that, right path with walking with Jesus and following Jesus. so that is our follower episode. And that is the end of that series. Our new series is going to be us, those Christian besties, answering and discussing Christian Reddit questions and posts. So stay tuned for that new series as it comes out over the next couple of weeks. Also, we are still looking for prayer requests from you guys that we can pray over. And we actually changed our mind. We're going to go ahead and stick with prayer Wednesdays. So we're hoping that every Wednesday that we can, put out a post of us praying over any prayer requests that come in. We're also looking for testimonies too. So if you have any testimonies you'd like to share, please email us at jesus.coffee.yarn11@gmail.com. And we're going to be having testimony Tuesdays. All right, guys. Well, Jesus loves you. We love you. God bless and have a wonderful week.
Jesus loves you. God bless. Have a wonderful week.
Bye, guys.